Hello, everybody. See why my desk camera isn't working. Allow. Try and stream. Put it up here. All right, there we go. Yeah, switch the camera around to my desktop. Hope everyone's doing great tonight. Go to back camera. All right. Get my camera in here. Got my chat on. Switch those two around and we'll get us all set up here. Hope you guys are having a fabulous week so far. It's a hot one here. Just kind of making sure everything looks good on my end here. Get my desk. We're going to play with some aqua pigments today. Hi, Tina. How are you? I'm just getting started here. So tonight, I thought we would play with the poppy dye. I hope you're not sick of seeing that yet. I know a couple people have used it. I haven't used it yet. Hi, Michelle. I'm doing fabulous. I hope you guys are doing well. So I did pre-cut all my poppies out ahead of time out of watercolor paper. Let me make sure my volume is down on this. And there, that's better. Okay. I did cut them all out ahead of time, so I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to do some watercoloring, or with aqua pigments, if that kind of intimidates you. I am not very good at it yet. I'm still practicing. It's something I wanted to keep using, and that is the challenge this month, is to use aqua pigments. So I've got a bunch of these cut out. We're also going to use a slimline card base. These are the pre-cut ones. They're all ready to go. And I did not score it because my scoring board's put away right now because I am getting ready to leave tomorrow for a crafty weekend with girlfriends and my mom and sister. So I have a lot of my stuff put away, except the stuff I need tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get that ready right away. And then we may or may not pull in the Oz, I don't know the exact, Over the Rainbow paper pad, which I know is out of stock right now, but I think they're getting it back in. And I believe we're going to use a sentiment from the Wisteria die. So that is basically the colors or the supplies. We also need pigments, and I have a little jar of water and a paintbrush. I have a paper towel, and a microfiber towel off to the side to drip my brush off on. I have aqua pigments in red, orange, yellow, blue, violet, green, pearl, and I did grab a amethyst, which is out of my collection. This one isn't available, but I wanted a little bit deeper purple, so I am going to throw that in there. But you could mix some more red and blue with your violet, or your red. There's a red violet and a blue violet to get a deeper color, but I'm going to throw this amethyst in there. So let us get started. So like I said, I cut all of my colors out. We're going to make a rainbow of poppies or flowers. And I think we're just going to do one color at a time. These are going to be fast watercoloring. So all I'm going to do is actually I'm not going to water brush yet. I'm going to add some pearl directly to my desktop here. I have it a little bit so you can kind of see here to the side on my white. The pearl you won't see probably on the white. And I'm actually going to start with yellow. Hi, Shannon. How are you? I'm going to start with the yellow, which I'm getting very low in this jar, so I'm actually just going to pour it right in. You don't need a lot. When I was doing a few of these up last night, I had some watercolor that was just everywhere, so hopefully I'll have enough because this yellow is almost up. But this is going to be very, very quick watercoloring. So I'm just taking water, and this is the way I found it was the best for me, the way I liked it, this technique, and I'm just getting my poppies wet. I'm only working on a couple at a time, and I cut one of each layer, the big, medium, and little, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of the pearl, and I'm just going to kind of put it right in the middle. You're not really going to see it, but it's going to add a little bit of, we're going to do it two different ways. This is the first way we're going to do it. It's just add that little bit of pearl. I'm going to kind of get my brush off, and I'm just wiping it on a towel. Maybe I can move that here so you can see that. Just wiping it on a towel. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this yellow, and I'm going to go ahead and just start throwing it right in the middle. I wanted lots of water to hopefully kind of have it, and I'm just dabbing it. I'm not doing anything fancy. I found if you work quickly, it's so hot right now that that's one reason it's not working quite as well as I would like to have it working, but it's working. And then I'm just adding some extra water about where the pearl is and the yellow. So it kind of bleeds a little bit. Wipe my brush off a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more water right on the edges, on the tips. And then I'm going to grab some yellow, and we're just going to dab the tips. Now we're only going to do one layer on these tonight. Hi, Mom. Are you excited to come see me tomorrow? I'm going to see my mom tomorrow. And you could add multiple layers. You could dry them in between if you wanted to. I did some ahead of time so that they would dry. And I kind of just played with it, and that's all I did. That's all I did. And then I'm just going to go ahead and grab these two. I'll see if I can get it up closer where you can see it. Ooh, this way, this way, this way. And I'm just going to put them off to the side to dry. Well, first of all, I put all my supplies on. I have a piece of laminated grid paper, desk grid paper that you can buy that I had received from a friend at an event, and I keep that to keep my watercolor pieces on. So we'll quickly do this one. We are going to color all of the flowers tonight because I don't think it takes that long. There's not a lot of stamping or anything else involved with this. So now this time I've got all of it really wet, and I'm going to grab some. We're going to have to add just a little bit more yellow. You could multiple colors. You could paint the whole thing in one color. You could do multiple colors. I just thought we'd make a rainbow of poppies or colors. I'm just going to go ahead. This time I'm adding the yellow first. And I'm going to put it right on the tips. I'm trying to let the water do its own thing. This is something, like I said, that's kind of a newer process, not just ink smushing. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab some of that pearl, and I'm going to go back and forth. So this is the other way you could do that. You can do the pearl first, or you can do the pearl second. It kind of just depends. But I'm only doing the pearl right between where the yellow is. You could do the whole thing. I've done that too. You could mix the pearl with the yellow to make it shimmery, the whole thing, but I'm just doing a little bit at a time. So then we're going to go ahead and do that. I don't know if you can kind of see, the shimmery in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull the yellow off, and we will move on to our next color. So here is what my dry yellow flowers look like. And we're just going to end up layering them together. And I have not folded these or anything. This is the natural curve of the liquid watercolor. But that's just, we'll put those together. So I won't show you everyone after we're doing each one, but we'll do each one at a time. So move on. Let's do some orange. And then so like I said, I grabbed a medium, a large, medium, and small of each of the flowers. And we're not going to do a green flower. That's the only color we're not doing. I'm going to go ahead and back and do one petal at a time. I'm going to start with, see how it just kind of bleeds out like that? I tried zooming in. I don't know. Let me try again. It's not letting me really zoom in. I apologize for that. Hello, Lori. How are you? I'm not worried about too much about my water being super wet, or I mean super dirty, because I'm really rinsing it well in between. Like I said, I'm just adding a little bit of color and letting it kind of do its own thing, quick and fast. Since they're going to be layered on each other, I was hoping to have a little bit of white space, and I'm just kind of letting it flow. Now, the more water that's on your brush, the more it might bleed. That's what I found. I'm just adding now some pearl in between, where if you have less water, where you brush your water off on your here and grab the color, you're going to have a deeper color. And we're just throwing some pearl in the middle there again. That was an afterthought when I was making these last night. I didn't add the pearl until I was about halfway through, and I thought, oh, I'm going to add the pearl. I love the pearl. All right. Hope everyone is staying cool. It's been 90 some degrees. I heard my dad even turned the air conditioning, wanted the air conditioning on. That's crazy, because my dad never worries about that kind of thing. So this is very wet, but my brush isn't super dry, so that's why it's kind of going out and about, which is kind of what I wanted, because I didn't want to have to try blending, because when I try to blend my colors out, that's where I have an issue of making streaky lines. Go ahead and grab some more pearl. I said this is quick, fast watercoloring. You could do this with any shape, really, any flower shape. You could do this with circles, you know, and just do the inside and then maybe the outside edge, and then in the pearl in the middle, and you'd have that kind of variegated. All right, we'll move these off to the side. Like I said, quick, fast. And as they dry, if they're not quite dark enough for you, you could add more color. And that's where we'll find, you'll see when we do the purple, the violet wasn't quite dark for what I wanted. So that's why I pulled in one of my, I think the amethyst was one of the month, and it's an older one. But there are lots of other colors out there that you can use. But use your color, use your stuff. All right, I'm going to go ahead and swipe up the orange with the paper towel, just so I don't accidentally get it in. We'll run into some red here now. You could do this all at just one color for your flowers. You wouldn't have to do rainbow colors. Like I said, I'm thinking, I even sprayed the flowers last night with water, but I found this was the best way for me to get the results that I wanted. And like I said, I am just learning how to do this. I've never been a big person, because I have control issues when it comes to my crafting. And so when I can't control what things do, then I get where things go. I mean, then I kind of So watercoloring is one of my things that I am been having some fun with the last couple of months. Now, like I said, here is where you can make some changes. You can go down like just the edge a little bit if you want on some of them so that they meet. I thought that was kind of a fun variation. I'm going to quick do that with this one. Actually was thinking of taking some watercolors with me this weekend and do some of this with some other things, but while I'm crafting, but I think I might just leave it home, since I'm not going to be in my own craft room, and just do stamping and coloring. So once again, I'm going to add just a little bit around one of the edges or two there. And then we're going to go in and grab some pearl, and I'm just going to throw the pearl in. You could let you could let it dry and then do pearl over the entire thing. But I didn't worry too much about that, because since we're going to layer the flowers, I just thought an extra little shimmer would be kind of fun, and it does kind of bleed a little bit in. And it kind of helps if there's any harsh lines to kind of break some of those up. Like I said, trying not to play too much with the lines. All right. Hope everyone is getting excited for Create Your Own Ending, which is coming up in just a couple weeks. I'm getting super excited. I've been working with some of the team members, getting some stuff prepared for it, and I can't wait. I'm super excited. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this up. This is just a microfiber towel that I use to wipe everything off. So you can see how dirty it is. I wipe my stamps off with it, but lately I've been using it more for watercoloring and cleaning up messes. You could use this little bit of leftover aqua pigment. You could let it dry and use it later, and just reconstitute it with some water, but I'm gonna just wipe it up, because with my luck, I'll dip in the wrong color. Oh, Shannon, it's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Shannon and I are both we're going to arrive within an hour of each other. So I'll finally get to meet Shannon face to face. We'll get to meet each other before we meet anybody else. That'll be fun. So, and just making me more and more excited seeing some of the ideas that are coming up. I did not yet. I have not been on Facebook most today because I have been busy. Like I said, I was working and I was doing some things, getting ready for helping with create your own ending stuff. So I'll have to peek and see. We did red, we did orange, we did yellow. Let's do some blue next. I'll have to peek it out. Now I will tell you, I blew out my eyedropper on this. So I'm just going to pour a little bit on the side, and I have an empty Aqua pigment bottle because, I think, this is like the seal, and I just clicked on it. So sometimes that happens once in a while with all eyedroppers, doesn't matter what. And that's what I do, is just, I save my old Aqua pigment bottles. I asked my sister if she wants them because she's a painter and she does sometimes make her own colors. And I just kind of put them in a drawer and give them to her if she wants them. And even my son, he's been doing some airbrushing with some stuff, and I sent a couple home with him one day because he liked these little ones, and the stuff he was using, he would have to throw it away because it would dry out so fast. I said, hey, why don't you try one of these bottles? So, and it's a liquid paint he's using. I love watching watercolor on water just kind of do its thing. Watching other people do it has always intrigued me, but I could never really figure out how to do it. So this has been a fun way for me to practice. This is a great way to practice, letting it just flood itself. And I did water these down already once, but like I said, it's been so warm that they're drying fast. I do have a fan blowing in my office here because it's warm in the house. So I just love how it's feathering on its own. Like I said, you can play with it and make it do what you want. I'm trying not to do that too much anymore because then I end up not liking it in the end. I have an inside, Michelle, so I've seen some other things, but I didn't see the sneak peeks released on there today. Was it on Facebook? Was it on the fan club page or on the Brutus Monroe page? Maybe Heather or maybe Shannon can tell us that otherwise too. All right, I went ahead and did the blue. Now I'm going to grab some of this pearl again because I want the pearl on each one so they all tie together. That little bit of shimmer. Like I said, you could totally mix the pearl in with the color before you painted, which would give your pearl, I don't know if you saw that, but a drop to drop right in there, right here, and it kind of pooled because that's a really wet one yet. That would lighten up your watercolors a little bit if you added the pearl to it. I'm excited. One thing I'm excited about Create Your Own Ending is I actually have a girlfriend here in my hometown. She is doing it virtually. And so I'm excited to have her call out, hey, she's like one of my best friends. And I can be like, hey, I know you. I know where you're at right now. I know what building you're in, what you're doing, what your desk looks like. And then excited to hear what she says afterwards, because we've done a couple of Brutus Monroe events together, virtual events together, signed up together in the past couple of years. And so I'm excited for that. Okay, thanks, Michelle. I will check it out after. All right, we got to do our purple. And then we got to do some leaves. And then I didn't do the centers ahead of time. And I'm going to kind of show you how I make a brownie black color when I need it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this up. Lori, sometimes it's super quick and sometimes it's not. I will tell you that I know around here, the internet has been ridiculously slow. I've been trying to send text message to some of my coworkers today, and I'm trying to send emails, and it's been just crazy. It's been hit or miss. So I'm not sure what's been going on. The system's been overloaded with all the heat. So this is the violet. We're going to start with the violet, and then I will show you what I did when I add the amethyst. So there are several other purples out there. If you have a purple that was in a like there was the creamy aqua pigments that were out a few years ago, and the purple, there was a purple, I think it was called Heather, and it was beautiful. It was one of my favorites. I don't even think I ended up getting it. But you know, don't ever hesitate to grab those ones that you haven't used if you've gotten some of the limited edition. You know, we've got the Oz ones out right now, or the colors of the month, the aqua pigment of the month, and add it to some of the other colors because they go hand in hand really well together. All right, so we'll go ahead and add more a little bit. I did put quite a bit of this amethyst out, or violet out, I'm sorry. So it's kind of a purpley. So like if you really, and I don't think I have room to do the light purple and then the darker purple, so like an indigo. And oh, we never do that, Lori, right? We never stock websites, do we? I'm gonna go ahead and add the pearl first before I add the darker color. But you could do an indigo, you know, the violet indigo, Royb, R-O-Y-G, green, G, Roybiv. It's funny, I went a few years ago when I was at a retreat. I learned, you know, I know it's the Roybiv, but I learned over across the pond in England, some of my coffee friends, they say Richard of York gave blood in vain, and that's how they remember it. Richard of York gave blood, we're gonna pretend this is indigo, in vain. It's Roy G. Biv. And so that's how I say it now. All right, so we've got the violet in there, where I'm gonna go ahead and this is where I'm gonna add that amethyst. I need to shake it up a little bit. It's a deeper purple. I just didn't last night I was being lazy and didn't want to make my own purple because I'm trying to use up what I have. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna drop it right down, and there's not a lot of water left on here, so it's not really flooding like it should, like I was doing before. It's starting to dry. So if you realize it's starting to dry, I thought maybe I'd show you what I did to kind of make that work. We're going to add some to each thing. And this is where I said, if you have two, like if you have there's a yellow orange, you know, or if you had a pink and a red, you could make different color flowers, which would be really fun too. You know, I thought these ended up almost looking like violets to me. So I may end up having to make a card that has just these colors. I'm just going to throw a little around the corner on there, a couple of these. And then go ahead and grab my water, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tap it back out and let it kind of do its thing. Add a little water to each, and then let it kind of, I said, I'm not a person who does a lot of watercoloring, so I'm not perfect at this. Oh, Kate, no, trust me, this is all sorts of anxiety for me. It's something I've just been playing with and trying to do, and realizing that we sometimes are our worst critics, right? And just letting it go. I mean, I've done a couple of events or virtual events where I've had to do some watercoloring on flowers. I've done a little bit with a couple of classes with Christopher in a couple different events, and I'm just trying to let it go. Just a little bit more pearl. But I thought last night when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with limited supplies, that this would be something. And so I told my honey, I said, he was making dinner, and I said, I'm gonna go sit at my desk and play. And I'm like, it's gonna work, what I want to do. So I encourage you to take a basic shape like this and just play. Like I said, just adding some water to it, and then adding a little bit, may work one flower at a time, and just try it out. And I was so excited when they were all sitting on the counter drying while I went to dinner. When I came back, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at how it looks. And I thought it just looked great. And like I said, use some watercolor paper like Aqua Pigment paper, or a good quality. If you're not going to use Aqua Pigment paper, which is my favorite, thank you, Shannon. Use a nicer one. Don't use some cheaper one. Sometimes the Canson works too. I've used that a lot. That's my other go-to. All right. Now, we're not going to add any pearl to the leaves. I thought I'd leave the leaves the way they were. So we're just going to grab a bunch of green out. What I like about the Aqua Pigment paper is that it can hike a lot of water, and it can it has the texture, which I like because it adds to it. I just happen to have a bunch of scraps that I cut tonight, so this is just regular watercolor paper. I'm actually getting low on my Aqua Pigment paper. I need to place an order, which there is a birthday. Oni's birthday was today. She's director of special events, I think. Sorry, I'm new at that part, and they're 40% off certain items. Go in, and I know my favorite, the card bases are on sale. Some of the embossing powders are, stamps and dies, stencils, so go check that out. I am just going to add water to a bunch of these leaves, and then I'm just going to dot them with the green. That's all we're doing. I don't care if it can water. I don't care if it doesn't cover them all. We're just going to do a few at a time. Ooh, there's a puppy hair on that one. And I'm going to rinse it off. Put my cloth back up here. And then what I did to have some fun is I added just a hint. And like I said, I have to replace my dropper. I believe you can, I think you can get some empty bottles or droppers, but I have some. I'm just going to grab a little bit of the blue and just kind of dot it in a few places. I did way more leaves than I did last night, so that is. And then I'm going to take my spray bottle. I'm actually going to just spray, and if I get others, I'm okay with that. Grab a little bit more green, and I'm just going to kind of mix and let it so that there's not a lot of white on the green on the leaves. But I'm not trying to mix them too much. I'm just trying to make sure that I spread out where I need to, and I don't have big globs of blue. And that's all I did. You bought a lot of embossing powders? Yes. Well, you can't go wrong with embossing powder. My problem is I use so much of it. Like I'm going this weekend, so I have them in plastic Rubbermaid containers. And so I can't pile of them with. So my brush isn't completely dry or clean. I'm okay with that because we're going to mix some of those colors. So there's a little blue on that one. I'm just going to go ahead, that one's upside down. You can tell sometimes when you look at a die cut if the edges aren't smoothed over. That was a sharper edge, so I knew that was the back side. Oops, that one's upside down too. So I have everything ready for me to go. I'm just going to wet these all down, pretty wet, liberally. If I need to add some more water. That one's upside down. You can kind of see there's a huge puddle of water on my desk. That's okay. And we're just going to go ahead and start dripping some brown. You could do the same thing with chroma mists if you didn't have aqua pigments. Just spray a little bit on the side of your desk, and you could paint in with them too. And I'm just dabbing here and there, but the key for me was getting a lot of water, which is going to dilute the color a little bit. You know, you're not going to have a lot of dark spots, but I'm okay with that. When it dries, you'll know the difference because it always dries back. And then I'm going to go right into my blue and just grab a few blue and just kind of dab it on. To make kind of a bluey green color. Need a lot of blue. And when I did this earlier, I poured out so much that I ended up, I was like, I can't waste all that. So I grabbed a piece of paper and just made a big blue background. Thought about using it tonight, but then I realized it was way too blue for this. So I don't know if we're going to do, we might just do a white background. Probably should have done our centers first. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse my brush up a little bit, and I'm just going to go through and kind of spread it out so I don't have any white areas and no big blotches of blue. These won't take too long to dry, even though I have a lot of water on them. Like I said, I put a fan moving on in the background behind me to help with the drying a little bit. But I have some done ahead of time, so I always add a couple extras if I need to after the camera. Okay, let's grab a little green and throw that in a couple spots here. Here we go. And now we have a couple multicolored leaves. I'm going to go ahead and leave the green and the green there because I have a ton of it. We got to move these over, so I'm going to move my other products here and quickly move these over. You could put gloves on so you don't have painty fingers if you want, but I just wash my hands in sink, and I might be blue for a little bit, but like I have a big blue spot right here, but I was covered in blue last night and washed my hands and it already went away by the time by morning. So they do wash off. They are watercolors after all. Because I'm just putting these off to the side on a piece of paper that I have laminated. It's probably, I don't know, it's bigger than legal size. They don't really stick to it. It's like a piece of, like if you get the grid piece of paper, I do need to wash it off because there's some spots there that are got some colors that I think the wet would pick up if I'm not careful. But, and I just leave them there to dry. I do that with all of my wet things so that it's not getting on my desk or on anything else. So I will just show you. It's a big piece of like grid paper that I just have sitting off to the side, and that is all of our colors. So those will dry. Now we got to do our centers. See if I can put them all upright very quickly because I want these to dry. I don't think I'm going to do a lot of water with these. So thank you, Lori. To make more of a black, I'm just going to add some purple to my red or to my green and add a little bit of red. And I'm just going to kind of mix it. And I might add a little orange. And to add some sparkle, we're going to add a little tiny bit of pearl. But just barely a drop. Just kind of, I have a lot of green in there, but I'm just going to mix it all together. And it kind of makes a blacky mud color. I mean, you can kind of see the green, but here I'll do one over here on this side white piece here so you can see it. And I'm just going to go ahead and tap it on. So I'm just going to do that quickly. All of them, I'm not adding any extra water because I just want the center pieces to be dark. We could add bling too. You know, I could leave big puddles of it on there. Oops, that one flipped over. But I want them to dry quickly. So that is a good way that you can make like a black color. I'm going to quickly move these over here to dry. Actually, I might just set them off to the side here because we will need them sooner rather than later. I might have to quick hit them with my heat tool if they don't dry too quickly. All right, and we'll wipe this all up. We're going to wipe up a lot of that color. I was thinking of splattering the background, and maybe we will do that actually. We'll do that quick. So let's check my, I'm going to grab some squeaky clean here. Actually, this is matte mist, but I'm going to grab just a little bit and rub it on my hands kind of good. Make sure I don't have too much color on them because we have a white card base. And we will just throw a little bit of, let me see, where's my splat box here? Grab a couple things that are in there that don't need to be. All right, I'm going to put this on this thing here. Oh, see, look, I already got a color on the front, so this is going to be the back. And I'm going to grab some quick washi tape type low-tech tape because I do not want to get any in the inside. This is going to go very quickly, so we're just going to shut that up quick. I'm going to grab my paintbrush, swirl around in here, and I'm just going to tap it all over just to add a little interest to the background. Because you could do a ink blended background, but I decided I was going to do mostly white tonight because I want the focus to be those poppies. All right, so we've got that all done. Oh, my desk is wet. Grab a clean piece of paper towel here. Let's wipe this up. So if you mix like all the colors of the rainbow, if you don't have, you could add some brown in there too. You can make a brown or a blacky mud color that works really well for things like centers of flowers and things like that. All right. So we have our background that is almost fairly dry. We could probably have splattered some pearl on it as well, but I'm going to, actually, we're just going to tape that shut for right now. Let's leave that aside to dry. Let's put our colors together. So here are all of our flowers and some of the leaves. So we're going to start putting them together. We'll put our centers on last. So they've got a little bit of shimmer. I hope you can see that. You could probably use some pop dots if you really wanted, like if you were going to hand deliver this card. Okay, my glue is acting up tonight. So we're going to grab the backup glues and just stick some down here. What we'll do, we'll just squirt a big pile of it out. These are just empty glue bottles that I refill with my Fairly Arts glue. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of zhuzh them a little bit, maybe kind of go in a little bit just to give them a little something, something. You wouldn't have to. And I'm just going to touch it to the bottom. And I'm going to throw it in, and I'm going to try to turn them. Don't have to be perfect. And just put them together. And then I'll grab the, see how pretty it is on the back side too. And I'm just trying to cup them, like, so I'm putting my finger in the middle and just kind of pushing down, and I'm pulling up on the sides. And we'll set those aside to dry. Sometimes I will take my, well, I'll take a clean piece actually. It's a trick I learned from somebody online, that you can just take a clean piece of towel and kind of dot it down and get some of that extra glue off. So I don't need a whole, I don't have a whole lot of layer, a lot of, here, I'll try to turn it to the side. You could make it bigger. You know, you could make it fluffier with a lot more, just kind of, that's one thing I like about liquid glue. But I don't want a ton of dimension. I don't know if I'm going to mail this card or not. So there's our red one. Let's just keep going to town here. Red. Like I said, zhuzh up the edges here a little bit. Push down in the center. Add just a little bit. You could just add glue right to the center of the flowers from your glue bottle, but like I said, mine was kind of acting up tonight and I didn't want to fight with it while we were live, so I thought I'll just squirt some out. I'm just gonna twist it. And not gonna worry about too much if they're not quite centered. I say this is, you know, nature does its own thing. I haven't planted any flowers this year, and I have a petunia, volunteer petunia, that popped up in my garden, and the dog decided to eat the one flower last night. And I was like, you took my one petunia, but I noticed there's already another one back. So, all right, so we're just kind of adding a little bit of zhuzh to the corners. Like I said, just very rotating them. that pearl adds such fun color to, or shine to the flowers. And then we'll get our purple. I decided a green flower. We could have done a green flower, but I thought with the green leaves that it was enough to do just the green leaves to make like a rainbow card. I'm not quite getting it right in the center, but that's okay. I didn't do a lot of curling of the back leaves. I probably, or flower petals. Like I said, you can play with it even afterwards if you want. But I just did mostly the top flowers. Like I said, you could probably popped up one of the layers with just a little bit of foam. I would probably do thinner foam tape, depending on how thick you want them to be. But you could do that with each layer. Here is that violet and amethyst together with a little pearl. Hi, Jenny. How are you? We're making a rainbow of aqua pigment poppies. Well, I guess technically they may not be considered poppies anymore because I don't know. I know most poppies aren't in every color of the rainbow. This one I feel like looks like a violet. Thank you. Yep, we're just putting these together and then we got to get our card put together somehow. I hope everything's going well for you for the week. My week is almost over. I am just working till noon tomorrow, and then I am on the road to Crafty Weekend. So I'm super excited. Okay, so we've got those put together. I am going to wipe up this glue. I don't think my centers are quite dry yet. We're going to let them sit there for a few minutes, and we're going to go ahead and put our flowers on the card. And this is where we're kind of, you know, playing it by ear because I hadn't really got the rest of it together. But we are going to go rainbow order. Red, probably orange and yellow, green and blue and purple. Figured we'll just kind of put them on our card. I kind of wanted to overlap a little bit. I'm going to not worry too much if they're over the edges too much. We can decide later if we want to cut them off. So I'm going to go ahead and see. I like how that's kind of looking. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of the lower ones that are underneath. And I'm just going to add a little bit of glue right to the center. So sorry, I'm still getting used to, you can't really, there you go, kind of see it there, just a little bit, and then stick it right back in, trying not to let it overlap too much on the edge. And then maybe we'll grab this one, and that's how we're going to add the flowers because we want to tuck some leaves in there. We'll figure those out. I'm going to put that one right here. And then we'll stick this one. I'm going to kind of stick some of those leaves over each other there, flower petals over each other. Then maybe we'll put the red one in first. I'm going to slow that down just a little bit. And then get the orange one in here. We want it to kind of flowers inside a little bit. That'll work. There we go. We don't too much over the edge. I'm not going to worry about the leaves being over the edge because those I can cut off. So we got a bunch of leaves here. These are the same thing what I did before, but I didn't do quite as many. We're going to go ahead and just put a little, I'm going to put a little glue at the bottom on both sides and then just kind of stick them in different spots. Let me go with this bigger one first. You could kind of pull up some of the corners of the leaves here too. I think we'll stick this one in kind of up in here because there's a big open area right there. Then I don't care if all of the leaves have flowers have leaves. They could. I'm going to do a couple of them, I think, right here. I think that's a good spot to maybe, oh, that maybe I'll do a smaller one there. Stick one in here. I could add a few more leaves after we're done since I have them and they're not dry yet. You know what? They are fun. This is actually the first time I'm playing with them, Shannon. I just haven't had time and I'm having a blast with them. Thank you. I'm like I said, this reminds me so much of a violet that's a fun, I think a fun twist. You know, I want to play with more layering dyes with flowers and things. I have a few and I haven't. That's my goal this weekend is to play a little bit with them. I feel like we need one maybe here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel like we need another one or two, but I don't know how dry these are yet. Let me see. A couple of them are dry. We're going to throw a couple more in. They're not too bad. They're dry enough that by the time I set them in, like I said, we'll put another one right here. And maybe one more off the side here. Find one of these babies. Just to give it an odd number for the leaves. You could totally do a button in the middle of these flowers for the centers or a gem. I'm going to go ahead and put that one off like that, and then I'm going to cut it off. I don't know the difference either. We are going to cut that part of that red off because I don't want the blue is, yes, and that's where I said you could add a little bit of that, the violet with the blue to make it a couple different colors. I used a violet and an amethyst, Jenny, to make the purple. And I think because I cut that off, we're going to throw a little bit of glue right there and kind of make sure that sticks down. Okay, so we've got that. We need to add our sentiment and our centers. And we'll call it pretty good. Now, if I'd been thinking properly, I might have stamped my sentiment right on here, and I don't know if my sentiment's going to fit now. So let's move the poppy dies out of the way here. Some card base. I could have put this on a panel and then done it. I grabbed the wisteria because I really like the sentiments on this. I think I'm going to do Thinking of You. I have some scrap paper just sitting here. That's what we're going to use to die cut this out. Maybe it stays here somewhere. Sorry, I just knocked a piece of metal on the floor. Oh, I suppose my dog didn't come running. Maybe he went back outside. We're going to stamp that out in some Raven ink, which will pull some of that black in from the centers and from the oh, something kind of going wonky. There is something on my stamp set here. So we're going to restamp that. There was something sticking to that. If you saw that up there, a piece of plastic or something. Well, that's why we have two sides of paper, right? That's weird. These do have coordinating dies. I do not have them right now, so you could die cut this out too. You could circle die cut it, square die cut it. I'm just going to fussy cut it. I'll leave that just inside there for right now. Get this off to the side. I'm just going to cut it straight across, as straight as I can cut it anyway. And then kind of round the corner with my scissors. I'm not the best fussy cutter of sentiments. I feel like images are a little easier because you kind of have a better line, but I never know when I should do the bump. Do you understand? Like that, the bump. And we're going to round the corner off up here a little bit, so it's not quite such a straight line. Oops. And then I feel like we need the bump right here. I am not a lefty. I think it's mirroring me. I am a righty. I'm righty. I guess I'm mirroring. Can you, is that backwards? It is backwards, isn't it? No, Thinking of You. I think I haven't, I'll have to ask Shannon. I'm not sure. I've not done that. If I mirror it, is it so you, can you read that right? Or is it backwards? I can't quite tell. And that's what kind of day I'm having there. Because my camera on my screen is super big on my cam thing. Oh, you can read it? Okay. So I'm it's on mirror because I'm still using this Restream software, kind of still learning that. But no, I am not a lefty. Both my, it's backwards. Okay, so I'll need to make sure I don't have it mirrored next time. I apologize. Yeah, red's over here on my side. Red's on the left. See, L for lefty. Interesting. Let's see what happens. I don't think I can change it now that we're done, but I will change that for next time. All right, we got our thinking of you. Oh, well, I apologize for that. I wondered when it said mirrored, but I don't, this technology stuff, you know. When I mirrored at school when I was a teacher, it was basically so you could show, instead of share your screen, it was like mirroring. So that way you could see it. So I'll have to fix that. So we got the thinking of you. You could put this almost anywhere. I'm going to put it here because, well, yeah, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to kind of tuck it in the green and I'm going to let it kind of put over the front of the flower. There. All right. Well, we will fix that for next time. I'm just learning. The flowers don't care. No, they don't. So yeah, like, so I'm looking at the card. The red is on my left and the purple is on my right, but we will fix that. Now we got to add our centers. They're not 1000% dry, but they will be, they are close enough because I didn't do a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit. I'm not going to add any bling to this just because I feel like what kind of pick 'em up stick that I can use with these because some of them are drier than others. I'm just going to stick them right in the center. I'm going to try to get the darker ones on these lighter colored flowers and the lighter colored ones on these two darker flowers. I think you could add a little piece of bling. Oh, we had one more than we needed. That's awesome. All right. I think I was going to have one done ahead of time. So we got our centers. You could add a little gem to the center of each of those, which would be kind of fun too. I don't know. Do we want to do that? I don't know if I want to do that or not. I'm going to grab some. We'll see what we think. So a friend of mine gave me a bunch of diamond dots last fall that because she was done with these are extras and I've been using them and I think that's what I'm going to use for the centers of my flowers on there. We're going to use them. We are going to put them on. I think that'll be fun. So we're just going to have a little bit of dot right in the center of each of our flowers. Oh my gosh, putting the centers on just like did it for me, made these even more fun. My normal pick 'em stick is packed away. You could probably do more than one of these little gems, but I'm just going to do one if I can get them face the right direction. Yeah, that one's not quite sitting on my card base there because it's not quite dry. Move it over so it's a little bit more centered. Yeah, we're gonna have to add some more glue to that one. And we'll do that off camera. I think it's a little extra added touch that I really liked. So if you know someone who's into perler beads and they have extras they don't want, you know, tell them I'll take them. And you can put them in on the front of your cards as they're perfect for little flower centers. And there we go. There is our card. So thank you, Tina. I think it turned out awesome. I wasn't sure, 100% sure I was going to put it all together. I just knew I liked the flowers. You can kind of see the dimension. It looks like I need a little zhuzh of this one, which I want it to be 100% dry. There's a little bit more, little bit of time to play yet so it matches the other flowers. Thank you. I really like how this turned out. I love the pearl. I mean, it's, you can kind of see there. You can see the shimmer. I'm gonna put my head in front of my light there. Give me a halo. So I appreciate you joining me tonight. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow, Mom. Be ready for a hug. And I appreciate y'all joining me tonight. I will see you next week. I don't know if it's the new month or not. So I'll see what we come up with for next week. Um, but I appreciate y'all joining me. Don't forget to enter the challenge using Aqua Pigments on the Brutus Monroe fan club page. You can win a gift certificate to the Brutus Monroe store. You can enter 2 times. Brutus Monroe product, but Aqua Pigments is the thing we're using. So that's a Brutus Monroe product. You can use that with something else. Check out the sale, and I will see y'all next week. Have a great night. Don't forget to create your own ending. Bye, guys. Okay, not letting me in the stream.